Well, welcome. My name is Lieutenant. For those of you who don't know me, I recognize some real friendly faces here. My name is Lieutenant Paul Delaney. I am the firefighter in Wellesley, and one of my jobs is public education, where I teach everything from the little kids all the way up here to the senior center and everyone in between. I'm gonna get a presentation today on fire safety for older adults. I run a very informal class. Any questions you have about anything, just raise your hand and you can refer to me as Paul. I'm very informal. I have a question and I will answer it, or if I don't know the answer, I will find out the answer for you and get it to you. So, why don't we move on? Let's talk about fires in Massachusetts. A little background information here. The stats aren't out for the year 2024 yet. They're still reviewing them and all. They don't come out till about June, but these are off the Department of Fire Services website. So last year there were 25,643 fires, down 12% from 2022. We always like trends when they're going down when it comes to fires. There were 45 civilian deaths, 0 fire service deaths, 220 civilian injuries, 405 fire service injuries, 320 million in property damage, and 606 reported arsons. Just so you know, the fire stats are no matter what state you go into, all have the same software. So whether I'm in Wellesley, Massachusetts or Los Angeles, California, it's the same reporting systems for fires and everything, okay? We'll dig deep a little into these Massachusetts fire deaths. 38 fatal fires killed 44 civilians, 28 men and 15 women and 2 children. Again, 0 firefighters died in fire-related instances, but 26 of these victims, so 58%, were age 65 or older, okay? And 68% of residential fire deaths took place in single-family homes. And we're gonna get into why that is and so on. And 13% of these fire deaths were related to smoking. Smoking is still out there, even though it's taboo nowadays. We're still running into it. These stats I have up here, these are nationwide, not Massachusetts. I got off the U.S. Fire Administration website to talk about older adults and fire safety. So ages 65 to 74 had 2.3 times the risk of dying in a fire in a 10-year period from 2013 to 2022. Fire death rate trend for this age group increased by 45%. Ages 75 to 84 had 2.8 times the risk of dying in a fire. The 10-year fire death rate trend for this age group increased by 6%. And then ages 85 and older had the highest relative risk among the general population of dying in a fire. And the big thing with age 85 and above is mobility, able to get around and get out. Smoking is still the leading cause of home fire deaths for adults 65 or older. Although a lot of it has to do with the trend of older people still smoking, although we are seeing not the cause of fires, but in EMS, seeing a younger generation, not so much smoking, but the vaping, and things like that, just crazy. And cooking fires are the #1 cause of home fires, and we're going to discuss today how to treat a cooking fire and so on. Let's talk about electrical fires because they're very common too. Um, these bullet points I got off the National Fire Protection Association website. It's important not to overload outlets and power strips. You know, but those power strips are good, but make sure you get ones that have been tested, like by Underwriters Laboratory, UL tested, and so on. I'm going to talk about the Amazon effect on some devices at the end of this presentation. Believe it or not, now, they say use one appliance per outlet. I mean, in the kitchen, I would say, you know, your coffee maker and a can opener can go in the same. I think they're talking big appliances. So, a thing I run into and I see is do not run electrical cords or extension cords under rugs because you will step on them and you can wear off the insulation, expose the wire, you can get a spark, you can get a fire. Also a trip hazard, you're right, Jerry, yep. And extension cords should only be used for a temporary fix. And it's also good to have a licensed electrician inspect your electrical system every 10 years. So to have a look at if you need to update or so. Yes?
Yeah, another thing on the use of multiple things on an electric thing. It's one thing if you get the can opener and the coffee maker because they're not constantly drawing current, they're just when in use. But when you get into your TV and stereos and all that stuff, a lot of that stuff nowadays does draw constant things, so you're more likely to overload the circuit.
You're correct there, Jerry. That's a very good point. And especially the charging of lithium batteries, our cell phones. Everything has a lithium battery now. That's always drawing current. And your TVs are smart TVs. You may shut them off, but they're always on. And I swear they're listening to you too. So Alexa is listening to you. I tell my wife that. So let's talk about some cooking safety tips. Grease fires, okay? We never want to put water on a grease fire. It will cause the grease fire to increase, almost explode, okay? We use a lid on grease fires. Never move a burning pan, too. We see this a lot. People try to get a pan that's burning on the stove to the sink. Don't make it. They drop it. They can burn themselves with hot grease and oil, or it's on fire and they can catch the kitchen on fire, okay? Like I said, we never want to use water on a grease fire. Never leave food, grease, or oils unattended on the stove. Try not to leave anything unattended on the stove, okay? You know, you get that phone call, you know, maybe shut it off. We have a problem just in the fire station. When we're cooking, we get a call, we have to shut the stove off. So to make sure we don't leave anything going while we go out on a call. Can really disrupt our appetites too. Also, do not wear short or tight-fitting sleeves when you're cooking. Any loose clothing, you're over a hot stove, the open flame can catch fire. Loose clothing can easily catch fire. And this is what when I'm talking to the kids in the schools, I tell them to take this home to your parents, is to keep your pot handles faced sideways. You don't want to face them out because you can walk by and hit them. They can spill hot grease or hot food or flames onto you. And this is the big thing. You have because we get calls a lot to people burning popcorn in their microwaves, especially the college students in town, okay? Leave it. If you got something on fire in your microwave, leave it in there. Don't open the door, just shut the power off. It will reduce, it's in a safe spot. Same with in a stove, in an oven. Some people, they'll have an oven fire, they'll open the oven door, try to get things out to the sink and all. Just leave the door shut, shut the stove off and call us, okay? It's in a safe area there. Toaster oven also, yes. Very good point. Yeah, yes, the question is, and I'm going to repeat the question since we're being recorded, and I don't want to be like Phil Donahue running around with a microphone. Am I dating myself? No. Everyone here knows who Phil Donahue is. All right. Yes, those are new. Yeah, you've seen on TV, they're like a blanket that you throw over your top of your stove, and it smothers the fires. They work very well. I got a lot of questions about that, did some research, and they work very well. They're a fire blanket. I should have had a slide on that. Do you know when fire strikes, you have less than 1 minute to safely get out? So, and a fire doubles in size every minute. It isn't like you see on TV, okay? That's why I'm not a big proponent of fire extinguishers. I think if you have a big enough fire, you need a fire extinguisher, I want you to get out, call the fire department. Because also, fire extinguishers are you got to know how to use them right. You got to make sure you have your back to an exit. I want, we can replace property. I want you out of the house, okay? The fire extinguisher has a spray. It would put out a small fire, but they don't put out big fires. There's not enough to them. So, and I believe we're going to have some questions at the end on fire extinguishers. So, okay. Working smoke alarms double your chance of survival in a house fire. You need to test them monthly, okay, make sure they're working. Replace batteries twice a year. Now there are a couple types of smoke detectors. Some are hardwired, connected to electricity, but they have a battery backup in them. And that's what, you need to change that battery. We do it twice a year when we change the clocks, change your battery. But there's been another game changer in the fire safety world has been now they're selling 10-year battery smoke detectors. I love them because you put them up, they're good for 10 years. And they're easy to install. You don't have to worry about batteries. They have a 10-year battery in them. They work. It's amazing. It's really been a game changer. Smoke detectors are only good for about 10 years, too. Then they start to lose their sensing material and so on. Never disable the smoke detectors. People used to take batteries out of them because the cooking set them off, or the shower the steam from a shower set them off. So never disable them. And we're going to talk about installing detectors throughout the home. I'm going to get into carbon monoxide too, Jerry, after the smoke detector. Yeah. Smoke detectors we want on every level of your home. In the hallways outside the bedrooms, at the top of open stairways, because stairways are like chimneys to a fire, okay? At the base of the cellar stairs and inside all bedrooms, okay? Now, when I'm talking about smoke detectors here, I'm talking about in a residential house. If you're in an assisted living building or like Phillips Park or Waterstone, you have a commercial fire alarm system that has to meet a certain code. So, and your building has a sprinkler system too. So this is for residential housing when I'm talking about smoke detectors, okay? And yes, the batteries like to go at 2 in the morning, not 2 in the afternoon. I think they make them that way. So let's talk about carbon monoxide detectors, okay? Since 2006, state law requires carbon monoxide detectors in homes, and a lot of the smoke detectors are a combination now. They're a combination smoke and carbon monoxide detector. Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless, and tasteless. It's produced wherever fossil fuels are burned, okay? We want one on every level of your home, especially located near the bedrooms, because again, carbon monoxide is odorless, colorless, and tasteless, so you don't know if you're being exposed to it, you know. So they're only good for about every 7 years. And we do find we run into when there's high humidity in the summer, for some reason, carbon monoxide detectors will go off with high humidity, just the sensing material in them. So we get a lot of false positives. When your carbon monoxide detector goes off, you need to call 911 because we have testing equipment that we'll bring into the house and we can test the air to see if you have carbon monoxide. 9 out of 10 times we go on a call, it's needs a new battery in it, it's an older detector, there's no carbon monoxide. But about 10% of the time, it's a real carbon monoxide call.
All of the dates visible on the outside?
The dates on smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, you have to take them down. They're on the back in very small writing. Yes, of course they are. Yeah. So let's talk also about home fire escape drills. When I'm talking to the kids in school, and I mentioned, they have fire drills in school because it's state law, they have to have 4 a year. I always ask how many of you have had fire drills in your house, and I don't get raise many hands, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not the best subject of practicing fire drills in my home. It must be because I think I know everything, although my wife doesn't think that. So she's right, yeah. So we need to have 2 ways out of every room. So when you're talking about the bedroom, you need to know that, can I exit through the bedroom and maybe go down the stairs and get out the door? Or is that way, there's fire in the stairwell, I can't get down. What do I do next? Well, we teach people you go to your window, okay? Go to the window and open it if you can and bang for help, yell for help. Because one of the jobs of a firefighter is going to, at the scene of a fire, when they get there, one firefighter is going to be responsible for checking the perimeter of the house, every window, and looking, and we can safely get a ladder up to get you out. The big thing we like as firefighters is to have a meeting spot outside in front of the house. So the firefighters get there, you can say everyone is out of the house. Everyone is accounted for, okay? When I'm telling the little kids, maybe it's the basketball hoop in the driveway, the mailbox or something, a meeting spot's very important. Do not go back into your house to get a pet, okay? When it comes to pets, tell the firefighters, you probably know where your pet might hide. And with our gear on, we can go in and help locate your pet and do our darndest to get it out, okay? This is getting to be an older thing now because not many people have landlines anymore. We used to have to teach people, call from a neighbor's house before everyone had cell phones. But call 911 from outside your house or at a neighbor's house. Okay, I'll talk about how the 911 system works. It's also important to practice, have fire drills during the day when you're awake or at night, when you're lying down, you're in bed, how am I going to get out? And follow the drill and make adjustments to your plan on how you're going to get out. Okay, this is what everyone remembers. What to do if their clothes catch on fire. It's stop, drop, and roll. And in the last couple of years, they've added cover your face, okay? What we're doing is if our clothes catch on fire, by running or moving fast, it's going to make the fire burn hotter and faster, okay? Adding oxygen to it, okay? We want to drop wherever we are, and before we start rolling, we're covering our face. We're covering our face is to protect our airway, breathing, and our eyes from the fire. And we roll back and forth to put the fire out, smother the fire. Yep. Get down to the ground the best way you can. Just let's talk about safe smoking. Try to quit if you can, okay? Never smoke in bed. People we're running into when I go on ambulance calls, I see, because I can see the burn marks on the sheets that they're smoking in bed. Use large ashtrays if you have to. Keep your lighters or matches on person out of children's reach. Smoking with alcoholic beverages increases the risk of fire. I had a tragic incident when I was new on the fire department in the early 90s where a person fell asleep because they were intoxicated smoking and set themselves on fire. So. Home oxygen, we see that in older adults. Oxygen will help the fire spread very fast, okay? And there's two types of oxygen we see out there. There's some of it's ambient oxygen, which is what we're breathing now, which is about 19% oxygen or 21%, rest is nitrogen. But some people are on medical oxygen. That is 100 in the canister, 100% pure oxygen, okay? It increases the speed at which things burn when a fire starts. Never want to smoke or light a match while using home oxygen, okay? Keep all flames and heat sources away from oxygen systems, and do not allow smoking in homes where oxygen's in use. Because even though the person is hooked up to that oxygen, some of that is escaping into the surrounding areas of the house and can fill the house with a large amount of oxygen.
Won't those cylinders explode though if there's a fire?
That's another thing. Oxygen cylinders under pressure will explode. They're a time bomb, yes. And let's talk a little bit about space heater safety. Yes, oxygen question.
We don't need it, thank God.
Right.
And like Sunday, they have concentrates oxygen from ambient.
Right.
Is that the same risk as
No, that isn't the same risk as a medical 100% oxygen tank. Those are those things they take the ambient air and they mix it and get it to you. Those are safer, but some people need the 100% medical oxygen for medical reasons. Yes. Space heater safety, okay? When buying a heater, make sure it's tested and certified by a testing agent. The most popular one in this country is UL, Underwriters Laboratory. They test everything. You always want to keep the space heater 3 feet away from drapes, furniture, other flammable materials, and keep on a level surface. The good thing about all new space heaters, and these run off of electricity, you'll see, if I tip it over, they automatically shut off. They have to have a built-in shut off. So it's very safe. It's not safe for your electric bill, though. Try not to leave them unattended or while sleeping. Supervise children and pets when a space heater's in use. And yes, kerosene heaters are illegal in Massachusetts. I haven't run into a kerosene heater and a space heater in a long time, but I hear they could still be out there.
That includes propane and things like that?
Right, because they give off a carbon monoxide. Yep. So you wouldn't want to have that in a house, propane heater. Yeah. Okay, before I entertain questions, I just want to go over a few things. There's been a little changes in the 911 system and how it works with your cell phone. It used to be if I dialed 911 right here, it wouldn't go to the Wellesley 911 center. It would go to the nearest state police, and they would transfer you then to, you'd have to say I'm in Wellesley, Massachusetts. They would transfer you. Now, all those little fees you see when you pay your cell phone bill, one of them is to keep the 911 system updated. We're finding about 98% of the time now, if I dial this right now, 911, it's going to go right to the Wellesley Dispatch Center, okay? But always still be clear, though, just in case it goes to state police. They'll let you know, too. But we used to run into a problem with the Wellesley and Wellfleet down the Cape, getting their calls, them getting our calls, because we sound a lot alike, and we're next to each other alphabetical. So, yes. Yes, Jerry?
Now, when you do it from your cell phone, because of the GPS quality, does that let you know that I'm calling for 55 Parker Road?
No, it doesn't do, it isn't like the landline that would come up 55 Parker Road. That's a great question. And yes, they can, by doing something, try to locate your position, but it isn't as fast as you see on the TV shows. Okay? So, yeah. Also, so that 911, I also want to say, especially I find this when I'm talking to seniors, don't hesitate to call the fire department. We're there 24/7. We're there to help. Sometimes I've had some people say, well, I don't want to bother you. You're not bothering us. It's what you pay taxes for, all right? Call us. When in doubt with anything, your smoke detector's chirping, it's not going off, it's chirping, you're not sure, your carbon monoxide, call us. We will come out, check out the situation, try to address what we can, and try to fix what we can. So I can't be more, don't worry about, you're not bothering us. Call us, okay? And now, yes, a question. So the question is, can I place a smoke detector not on the ceiling, on the wall? Yes, you can. The ceiling is the best because smoke rises, but it's also going to work on the wall. I see some on the side on the wall, so you can reach. That's a major thing we hear is, they're up high. How do I change the battery and so on? That's why, when in doubt in that chirping, call the fire department. We got some firefighters that we'll change that battery for you, okay? So that's a great question. Let's open up some more questions.
Well, you probably don't know the statistics for Wellesley, but in general, have the number of fires increased, decreased, or stayed the same?
So they've stayed about the same. We averaged about 45 to 5,000 calls for service, not fires. That's everything, calls for service in Wellesley in a year. We average about 30 to 35 fires a year. And that's everything from car fire to a structure fire to a brush fire. Fires, believe it or not, even though the stats are, fires are down across the country, even in the big cities, because of mostly because of technology. Everyone has smoke detectors now, so they're caught earlier. The building code is very strict, so buildings have sprinkler systems in them. So fires are being caught early, put out earlier, so they are down. So we average about 30 to 35 fires in Wellesley a year. Okay. I'm going to grab Graham, because Graham, you have a fire extinguisher question.
From a very reliable source called CBS Deals.
No, I think he said deals. I did the same thing. Let's look at this. What he's got is like an aerosol fire extinguisher. Doesn't look like it could put out a lot, though. Yeah. Um, Let me just put down the mic a sec so I can read it. I want to see that. I think that's what they're made for. I'm gonna give me a minute here to read the direct. Look at that, a man reading directions. Hold it, something's gone wrong in the world here. Yeah. So what I'm not seeing on it is Underwriters Laboratory, or any other United States testing. It it's got a liquid in it. It says it's water-based, but yet it says you can use it on a grease fire. I will, always looking for an excuse to light a fire down the fire station. I'm going to test this out. Yeah, but that's why I'm not a big, I'd rather put on a grease fire if you can throw a lid on it, is better. Yeah. So, fire suppression, the mess, right. So, yeah, there's always, so let me get into, I didn't see Underwriters Laboratory. So I'll tell you, when I was at the state conference 2 years ago of all us fire educators throughout the state, during a class I was taking, they mentioned smoke detectors that Amazon sells that are made in China. Nothing against China, but they're not tested to United States standards like Underwriters Laboratory, and they're not working as well or not working at all. And we're seeing that with stuff like this, not tested in America. That fire blanket I talked about is a good product, the one you throw over your stove. I did research that. But they're calling it the Amazon effect of products made that aren't up to American standards. Yes. Lithium charging, that's another thing we're seeing. Right, we had that a fire in Wellesley where a lithium battery, an electric scooter, and we're telling people with like your cell phones and all, you have an Apple, buy an Apple charger. It's made for that phone. It's safe. You buy these aftermarket charging things. Again, the Amazon effect. They can cause fires. And we did have a fire in Wellesley with an aftermarket charging cord charging a lithium battery in a scooter. Caused the garage to catch on fire. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Question. You hit the $65,000 question. We don't want them because they're hard to get rid of. They're not dangerous. So you know what? I think the RDF can take them. You put them in the scrap metal bin, not in the recycling area. You know where the scrap metal bin is? Because they're metal. Put them in there. They're going to get recycled at a scrapyard then. Yeah. The chief has told me I used to take them because I teach with them, but I have so many in the firehouse now, I've been told not to take any more fire extinguishers. So I would, and you didn't hear this from me, wink, wink, but I would bring them to the RDF and put them in the scrap metal bin. Okay? All right, but that's our little secret here. All right? Yes, Jerry, you have another question?
Yeah, with all the fires we're seeing out in the west and other parts of the country, most of them seem to be starting in the forests and whatnot. And in any given
So the question is Wellesley doing anything to mitigate, in our beautiful town forest and area? That is a question I will have to check with the powers that be. We ran this past fall, so you saw on the news because of the drought, we had a rash in Massachusetts of brush fires, and we got called to a few mutual. We didn't have any in Wellesley. But Weston had a pretty sizable one I had to go to. I spent a Sunday morning over in Weston putting out due to the drought. Let me find out. I don't want to give the wrong answer to that because it could also involve touching wetlands and trees and so on.
Not necessarily Wellesley, but if you're gonna have Route 30 in Weston, there's that little patch of woodsy area before you get up to the 128 Mass Pike area, and a tree falls.
Yeah, yeah. And we had an awful drought this past fall. We're technically still in a drought, I hear. So, yeah. Yes, the question here.
Okay, our house is on the corner and
But so the question is, this gentleman has a patio out his second floor bedroom, but you're outside when you're on that patio. There's a railing, obviously.
there's a door that you can go out. One is available.
I would say you're very safe staying on the patio till the firefighters get there and we can get a ladder to get you down. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah, yes.
A folding extent ladder.
Oh,
They've got one there all metal and they all fold up and you just put a hook on the
and do you know that? Do you know those things are very hard to use, and they're very dangerous. Yeah. So years ago, I had a neighbor ask me about these are ladders you buy, and they fold up, and like you put them like it on your windowsill, and the ladder goes outside, and you crawl down like you're crawling off the side of a ship. I tried it, and me as a firefighter had a difficult time doing it. Right, but you gotta unfold it, get it on the windowsill, step in. What we're teaching people is stay by the window if you can't get out. Don't jump. No. So, those ladders, yeah, they're great, but they're hard to use. I think you're safe outside. If you're outside on a second floor patio, you're 50% there. You're outside, and we can put a ladder up and safely get you down. Yes.
Our house has two porches with roofs accessible easily from bedroom windows to get out on. Would that be a better place to go?
Sure. And it's a flat roof, or is it the slope isn't too bad?
It's slightly sloped, it's not flat, but not very steep.
That's a safe area to be out, safely get on the roof. Yes, you had a question right here. You open it if you can to yell for help. Yeah. If you are trying to exit your bedroom, make sure your bedroom door is shut though, because that's a barrier to fire coming and smoke coming into the bedroom. Yes. Yes, Dan.
What's your targeted response time?
We have a 3 to 4 minute response time here in Wellesley. We're very lucky. Yeah, and I would say that in all Metro West area, Boston area, we're a full-time fire department, so we have a 3 to 4 minute response time. Yes.
When someone calls an ambulance, the fire department usually comes out as well. What is the reason for that?
I'll be glad. I love answering this question. I get this all the time. Why does a fire truck come when you need an ambulance? First of all us firefighters are EMTs. We're emergency medical technicians. We can work on an ambulance. Second of all, a lot of time it's for manpower, lifting people, getting people downstairs. And our fire truck is what we call a rolling toolbox, okay? Sometimes we have to remove doors to get people out, for an ambulance. So we have the tools on, and we have to have our fire truck with us in case, we get a fire call. So you're very lucky here in Wellesley where you get a fire truck and the ambulance. It's mostly manpower and tools if we need them. And in Wellesley, you're lucky too. You're gonna get a police officer too. So I get that. Love that question. I get it. And the other question I get is why do you got to bring a fire truck to do the shopping at Roaches? To get our food for the day. We go grocery shopping. We got to eat, And it's in case we get a call, we have to. There have been times we've been in Roaches where we have to abandon the buggy because we got to go. Yeah, I get that question all the time too. So. Okay. Yes, sure.
As you say, call you for anything. My wife in her declining years before she passed, guys up
Yeah.
on a fairly regular basis. Sometimes we take her to a hospital, sometimes there's one guy and I couldn't look up.
And that's a service we do all the time. It's lift assist. We come out. People fall out of bed. Their spouses can't get them back up into bed, or they live alone. They have the medical alert alarm. They call us. No, we're not going to take you to the hospital. We'll get you back into a chair, back in bed, and so on to make sure you're safe and all. I got to come over to this. I got to work this side of the room. Yes.
For the microwave fires, how long does it take for them to burn out?
They'll go out pretty quick once you shut the power off. Good. Keep the door closed. Yeah, just hit the power button off. Yeah, they'll be a little smoky though, but it will quickly go off because it has no power. Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
You usually dispatch 2 trucks?
It depends on the type of a call how we dispatch. No, they don't. Beat us through the intersection, think they can outrun a big red truck. Yeah, it depends on the type of call, what type of response we have. If you live near Babson College, you will see us going there a great deal, and that brings a 3-truck response because we're going to a dormitory and so on. Same with Wellesley College and so on.
Yeah, I see one of the hazards is that they see one truck go by.
They think they can.
They pull out on the second truck.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Graham.
It's not a safety question, just curiosity. Many of the intersections in town have a light that blinks and turns off the normal traffic signal system. Or something, or ambulance or something.
Right.
How does that actually?
So what he's asking about is he's seen when emergency vehicles are coming, they can control the traffic lights. We have like a black box in our fire truck police cars, okay? It sends a infrared beam to it as a device on top of the traffic light pole, and it will give everyone red, but give us the direction we're going. Everyone will have green, so we're all moving in that direction. It's called the commercial octagon system. But that's a great thing to have. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
How's your Adopt a Fire Hydrant program going?
It going not as good as it could be. I love to hear that. Yeah. What he's talking about is we have an Adopt a Fire Hydrant to adopt the hydrant nearest your house and shovel it out during a snowstorm so you can have access to it. There are about 1,200 fire hydrants in Wellesley, give or take. Yeah. So, yes. So the question is, do you have a choice of what hospital? Yes and no, depending on what you got going on with you. If you're having a heart attack, and the paramedics, who we have two paramedics dedicated to the Wellesley ambulance, they put you on a heart monitor, and they can tell by doing an EKG in your house that you're having a heart attack. You need to go to Boston because Newton Wellesley can't handle that, because you need a cath lab in Boston. Same with certain falls, certain traumas. The Boston hospitals are 24/7 trauma hospitals. But Framingham Union is a heart, where you can do heart attack, but we find it easy to jump right on Route 9 and we can get to Brigham and Women's very quick. Most of the time, Newton Wellesley will suffice, but it depends, or if you want to go to BI, Needham. Most of the time, we can accommodate where you're going. We can't take you to like the Leahy Clinic, though, or something like that.
You can request either BI or.
Right, you can, yeah. And right now, we are going through a very busy period in the EMS world with just calls for general, and hospitals are very, very busy. You can have, for going to Newton Wellesley for a non-emergency event, you can have a 6 to 8 hour wait yeah. It's just, we're just inundated with people calling 911 for stuff that used to be handled at a doctor's office. Yeah, so. I don't know, I wish I had the answer. Yesterday I worked, and on my engine 2, which just covers a certain part of Wellesley, I went on 8 ambulance calls yesterday. So, and that was just me on an engine covering a certain section of town. Yes, sir, you have a question?
Yeah, well, about 10 years ago, like I said, I had no feeling on my right side.
Right.
We did. I was pulling on my pants when the daughter started knocking at the door. I guess they were having breakfast somewhere near. And we got her right on the ambulance and down to
Yeah.
everything turned out okay.
Yeah, what the gentleman's talking about is the stroke symptoms. The onset of stroke symptoms are time is of the essence, because the sooner you get to a hospital and they can give a clot-busting drug, the sooner the outcome for the stroke is good. Unfortunately, when it came to my dad, I found my dad on the floor of his house, and he was on the floor for 4 hours, and he had a massive stroke, and it was too late for him to get the drug. So whenever, like, I know I told you, whenever in doubt with fire-related stuff, whenever in doubt with, medical, don't hesitate to call 911. So, yes. Everyone thinks that. Oh yeah, they triage. No, you get triage. When I'm talking a 6 hour wait is, you need 2 or 3 stitches, in your hand. They do have a triage system. Yeah, it's not, it works. It's just, it's incredibly been busy this winter. So, yeah. Yes.
Mention some of those fire alarm unit made in China, they're not effective or something. Does the fire department give us a list of the good ones?
No, all I can say is look for that UL Underwriters Laboratory, UL. You'll see it on every product. You buy a coffee maker, you should see it on it, your Keurig machine. They're an independent testing company that tests it. They work for the insurance companies, and they test things. Yeah. So. Yeah. No. Anything else? Well, I'll be up here. I'll stand by. You can come up and ask any questions. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.